guys, SilverFoxMC here. Today I'm going to be analyzing something a bit different and in a different style as well. I hope you do enjoy this video, and also let me know in the comments if you like this style or have any ideas on how I can improve my videos. Disclaimer: this video will be discussing scenes from Lunar Comics' original series Out There. Please go check it out and please support the original creators as well. Links will be in the description. Also, this video will be discussing PTSD and anxiety. I am not a professional in these aspects at all, and I will only be going off of my own personal experience with PTSD and anxiety. If anything involving these issues, as well as mental and physical abuse, may be triggering to you, please watch a different video. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. For those who may be unaware, Out There is an original comic series being produced on Lunar Comics. The series follows Dio, an alien on Earth who has recently gotten pregnant, and his struggles with feeling right in the place he lives. There are several other characters that we're introduced to in the first and second logs, those being Seb Rose, Nina, and Demo. However, for the sake of this video, we'll mainly be focusing on Dio as well as a few lines from Nina. From the first few pages of Out There, we're able to piece a fairly decent idea of Dio's character. From his interactions with Nina when they're in the house alone, Dio seems sweet and kind, but also extremely cautious about how his life is affecting Nina. We also learned from Nina that he's been a lot happier lately compared to where he previously lived. From personal experience, I know the fear of constantly bickering in your head if you've overstayed your welcome with a friend, or if you're causing trouble. However, this isn't all of Dio's character that gets shown, as we also get to see how he reacts in public spaces. As soon as Dio is thrown into a public area, he seems distracted and his mood almost completely changes from when we saw him alone with Nina. Again, as someone who goes through the same thing, it's very understandable that he acts different in public rather than in private. For some people, it's a defense mechanism, a way to keep yourself safe. For others, it may be a way to not stand out to those around you. However, it's the page after Dio's more distracted look that is very interesting. Some of you may have heard about this, but for those who haven't, there is a psychological state that many people go through called the imaginary audience. The imaginary audience boils down to the individual believing that everyone is watching what they're doing and judging everything about them. This is shown in a very interesting way as we see somewhat humanoid figures watching Dio from behind. This is a very amazing way to show the imaginary audience, if that was the intention, or just show a form of public fear. Though it's what we hear from one of the shadowy figures, as well as what Nina says, that gives us a bit more detail into why Dio might be as anxious of others as he is. One of the most interesting things the shadowy figures say is, "You're nothing but a devil, my son." This figure is the one that takes on the most detail and connects with an older version of Out There. For those who may be unaware, the version of Out There addressed in this video has been the most recent version. However, there was a version before this that shows some key points in Dio's relationship with his quote-unquote father. For the sake of this video and for the sake of how we saw this person act, I will be calling them quote-unquote. What we know from the old version of the story is that Dio was the cause of his mother's death, and after learning he was an alien, his quote-unquote father abused him until the final straw. From the old comic, we know that Dio moved in with Nina after his quote-unquote father learned about his pregnancy, and from what we've seen now, it may be the same reason he lives with Nina in the more recent comics. While we're never told that his quote-unquote father did abuse him, Nina does say that Dio seems to be a lot happier, and for him it's much easier than where he was living. Again, this doesn't completely confirm Dio's quote-unquote father being abusive, but it does heavily point towards it. This all leads up to one of the main things I want to talk about, and that is the relationship with mentally, physically, or emotionally abusive parents, and how that can cause PTSD. Now, while I am by no means an expert on how PTSD can affect people or how it's caused, I can speak from personal experience. As someone who is diagnosed with PTSD that is caused by a quote-unquote father figure, I see pages of the comic and what Dio experiences and can connect them with similar things that I've experienced. Being mentally and physically abusive can have extremely negative impacts on children's health, both physically and mentally, and their self-esteem. It can cause lasting PTSD and anxiety long into adulthood and can seriously mess with day-to-day life depending on the severity. From what little we see in the comics, Dio's PTSD seems to form itself in the shadowy figures we see. Now, this is a stretch and may have been made the way for autistic purposes, but for someone whose fear can range from thunder to yelling to enormous groups of people in one place, it wouldn't be surprising to me if this is a way people might view their PTSD, especially in a type of fantasy setting. In conclusion, Dio's anxiety feels very real to me, and never gets overshadowed by the more fantasy feel of the world the comic is in. Dio has a story. He is a product of his past, as is everyone, and I see him as a character trying to live despite the pain. Anxiety and PTSD are tricky things to discuss and explain because there is no cookie-cutter answer. It will vary from person to person depending on their past. What's important to take away from Out There's take on anxiety is that it shows a good depiction of what some people go through with social or public anxiety. Again, it won't be the same for everyone, but for me personally, it shows what I struggle with every day, no matter if it's on social media or out in the streets with other people. It's amazing what a small comic can show to people who may not fully understand anxiety and how it affects others. And I can't wait to see this amazing story unravel.